Bump and Run with Bernie and Dahlby. Presented by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Now, here's Brett Bernheisel and Steve Dahlby.
All right. Well, we took another week off last week. I was in Vegas, and it just didn't work. But after the week in Vegas, my wife and I spent the whole entire afternoon trying to figure out what to do for this show, and there's a roll of quarters and a roll of dimes, and that's what we have left from our week in Vegas. So, Dahlby, this is show 15, my friend.
Tough trip to Vegas?
I wouldn't say it was a tough trip, but there was a lot of little things that didn't go very well. The Eagles got their ass kicked by the Raiders, which sucked. I sat next to the biggest jerk in the history of sports as a fan who got drunk, but there was just a lot of little things that didn't go well, didn't go right. But you know what? We made it home safely, and we got $15 left.
That's good. I almost didn't make it home safely the other day.
And you and I were texting, and I know it was tough on your part, but from my part, I couldn't stop laughing. I know your team went down, your Saguaro High School golf team. I know the season ended and you were down in Tucson. I know you ended up finishing second in the tournament. Congratulations, first of all, thanks for that. But if you can kind of give our listeners kind of a Reader's Digest version of how the trip back from Tucson to Phoenix was.
Yeah, so this was last week. We had the state high school tournament in Arizona. They played two divisions of golf: Division I, Division II. Saguaro, which is your old high school.
Yep.
And I got the Saguaro hat on today.
You do?
We were in Division II, smaller schools. Saguaro's got, I think, about 1,300 students. Kind of known as a football school. Not so much known for any other sports. So we went into the tournament ranked 5th, and yeah, it's a 2-day 36-hole event at Tucson National. We survived the 18th hole at Tucson National. We'll talk a little bit more about that hole because they do play, that's where they played the Tucson Open for years, and they play the Champions Tour event there, and 18's a tough hole, and we survived that and ended up second. So we kind of bettered expectations, and I think we surprised some people. But as we were talking about, and it's an hour and 45-minute trip to Tucson National from Saguaro High School. But just by the rules, we have to have all the kids with us. You can get a parent to sign off, and they could take the kid, but we had everybody on an activity bus, and it's a half a bus, right? I found out after the fact that activity buses are actually just retired school buses. So that in the Scottsdale School District, they just paint them white. I thought they were new buses, right? So
okay. Today, Dahlby driving the bus once again. Another podcast. We're down this road.
Yeah. And I chose not to drive the bus. I let my assistant drive the bus. He drives faster than me, so I wanted to get down there. But so we hop on bus 510, and 510 out of the fleet is supposed to be the best bus. And they do they trip the vehicle, right? They trip it before you go. And so they go through everything. And so we hop on, and we actually, after school, we went to McCormick Ranch and practiced. And Jesus, Bernie, you're everywhere.
I disconnected. I'm laughing so hard I knocked the goddamn thing right off the edge. Go ahead.
That's good.
Finish the story.
So I'm just starting the damn story. So we go to McCormick Ranch to practice, and then we head down to Tucson, right? We head down to Tucson, and, I got 8 kids in the back. The white activity bus is going down I-10. Everything's great. We pull off. and I've got to feed these kids, right? I got to feed them. So we stop at In-N-Out Burger. They're happy. We get back on the bus. We go to Tucson National. We actually stayed there. When we got back on the bus, the oil light came on. Okay. And so we kind of looked at that. We kind of got going, and the oil light went off. So we're okay.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine now. I mean, you're good to go.
Everything's good. So we stay right there at Tucson National at the Omni, which is very nice. I get up the next morning. I got to go get breakfast. So I have to go. And Bernie, I'm not a coffee guy. So I find there's an AJ's in Tucson. So I order burritos, and I'm going to AJ's because I want to get an iced tea. That's how I start my day. But I've got to go to AJ's in the activity bus. Okay. So it's 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning. I turn it on, and the oil thing comes back. The oil light's back on. I drive about a mile or two. The oil light goes off. Go get the breakfast.
Oh, okay, you're
come
good.
back. Yeah, we're good. We're back to good. I go back. We play the first round, and after the first round, we are in third place, which I'm happy about. I really thought maybe we're a top 5, hoping for 4th, kind of thinking we're at 5th. So I let the kids just chill out in the hotel, and then I do this nice thing where we find this Italian restaurant. I invite some parents, so we're going to go to dinner. We hop in the bus. The oil light comes on. We drive to the Italian place. The oil light stays on. So we get to the Italian restaurant. We have a nice dinner. We get back in the bus. Now the oil light is on. The check engine light goes on. And now there's some alarm that goes off in the bus. It was just beeping. It's going crazy. So my assistant runs the Math and Science Academy at Saguaro High School. So he now opens the thing up. He knows this stuff. He unplugs something and the alarm goes off. So he's basically taking care of the alarm system.
So you've tricked the car now. The bus has been tricked into thinking it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So we take it back to the hotel. We look the next morning. There's no oil under the car or the activity bus. We turn it on. Everything's back now. So now there's the lights are back on. He plugs the thing back on. The alarm goes off. So now we figure out one of the windows somehow. So we figure that out. We get the alarm off. But now we've got and I've actually now, my wife's come down, so I just take the car to AJ's because I'm going to get my iced tea no matter what.
Amy's come down now?
She's come down. She wants to support the team, so she came down. So I take the car. I get my iced tea, which is the most important thing of the whole trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get them breakfast. But now we're like, this thing is going to break down on the way back. So
100%.
We start in third place. We get going. As the kids are playing, we are sending emails to every parent to allow them to now have other parents take the kids back, because we figured we were going to break down. So we got it all figured out. Well, all eight kids could get a ride back. And then what my assistant and I are going to do is we're just going to turn it on and just try to get as much speed as possible and just coast downhill to Scottsdale. That's our plan, right? Because Tucson's a little higher in elevation than Scottsdale. So we're just going to get it going.
5 feet, 10 feet?
Yeah. We're going to just get us going as fast as we can. And we have one parent that's going to follow us just in case we break down. And if we break down, we are going to just leave the bus, do the mile marker, and tell them to come and tow it. So we get done. We run second, which is great. And then really Tucson, have you been there, caddied or played it? The last hole at Tucson National, par 4.
Yeah, RW and
water.
RW and I had a chance to win there, and so whatever story you're going to tell me about that hole, I'll trump you a little bit later. But finish your story right now, because this is, I mean, I'm a lot of people are on the edge of their seat right now. I can see your face through the screen, so I know you made it back, but there was a part of me that didn't think you were going to make it back.
Yeah. Well, and I'm texting you all day about the damn bus. So 18.
No, it's an activity, but activity.
It is an activity.
Use the word
bus.
activity.
And I never did know that it was just an old retired bus, but if you actually look at it, you can see where the old paint is, and they have painted over. There are some areas where
I probably rode it in 1985. I was probably in that bus in 85.
It had over 200,000 miles on it. It did. It had over 200,000 miles on it. So, and this is 510. This is the best one, I'm telling you. So, anyway.
Oh boy.
We're in third, going in the last hole. You got water right, you got water left, elevated green.
Yep.
We played as a team, 4 players. We had 3 of the 4 go in the water. We made 2 doubles, a bogey. My best player birdied it. So we played at 4 over par.
Wow.
And we made up ground. We went from third to second because the other teams went worse. And it's a hard hole, a lot of pressure. My last player, who shot 3 under for the tournament and ended up third himself individually, he had to make par. He had to make par for us to be solo second. We had a 1-shot lead with him on the 18th tee. I actually went back. We kind of figured out the yardage. He needed to hit about a 260-yard shot off the tee. He hit it in the fairway. Then he had, I think, 180 left up the hill. So playing at about 190. Mm-hmm. He hit a 5-iron on the green past the hole. So he's got a 2-putt for us to be solo second, and he made it. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, so then we got to go. Now we're second. We're not expected to be second. No one there expects us to be second. Like the Arizona Athletic, or the AIA, the Arizona Athletics Association. They're so surprised that Saguaro is even, I think, in the tournament, and then for us to be second. So now we got to go pick up a trophy, pictures taken. But in the back of my mind, we still have to get the damn activity bus back to Scottsdale. And so we get all the kids. We get all kids with the other parents. And I've got my 2 freshmen. I brought 2 freshmen. They didn't play, but I just brought them along. They'd helped a little bit in the season. I thought it'd be, kind of cool for them to be there. So now, sure, before we can get going, I have now lost 1 freshman. He's gone to get water, and he's gone for 10 minutes. He's disappeared. We find him. We get him in the car. He comes back with water. I was thirsty. He's a damn freshman. Freshman or freshman. I mean, that's just the way they are. But anyway, so we get them going, turn on the activity bus, oil lights on, the check engine lights on, and we take off. The one dad is following us. And my assistant, I said, you drive, because I'm going to text Bernie and give him the blow-by-blow. And we
exactly.
We kind of hop on. We kind of work our way down, and we're leaving at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we got traffic to deal with. We hop on the 10, and I swear to God, he gets it going like 85. He just gets it going as fast as he can. The oil pressure thing is going up and down. It's going up and down. So we are going to break down. We actually passed another school bus on the side of the road. I didn't tell you this, Bernie. There was another school bus that was getting towed. So that was a nice omen. And, I'm texting you along the way, and it kept running. Once we got it going, we'd never stopped. We got past Casa Grande, and I thought that was a great accomplishment. And then we got to Chandler, and then, we turned and came down, and we're turning on McDonald, right? We're right here. We're 2 miles away. He signals to turn on. Yeah. Signals to turn on. McDonald, and now the gas light comes on. And so, we had enough gas basically to coast into Saguaro, and that was our 2-hour trip back on the activity bus. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
And I lived it through you. And there was a time back when there's a couple of times, but the one that I'll talk about golf related was we were leaving Odessa Midland back in, 1990, 91 or whatever. Or no, I'm sorry, 2000. And we were driving the this like Suburban, and it was me and Coop, who caddies for Lucas Glover, and we were going to come stay the week here at Phoenix. He was going to stay at my house, and then we're going to drive the next week to Salt Lake City for the tournament up there, where I got fired by Eeks. And I would say probably 200 miles into the thing, the heat on the engine got to a point where it was this fucking thing was going to blow up. And the car was going to blow up. I mean, it eventually did, but it was going to blow up. So we had to turn the air conditioning off and then roll the windows down, and the heat of the engine went down very slowly. And then you could turn the air back on for like 6 minutes or 8 minutes, and then it would go back on. Well, we got to Phoenix, and then we had to drive this thing through Las Vegas, Henderson, which was an interesting trip, and then to Salt Lake. But we had to, for every 6 or 7 minutes, we had to turn the air conditioning off so the heat would go down on the engine, roll the windows down. It was 100 degrees, and then we turned it back on. So we finally got there. The car ended up blowing up 3 or 4 weeks later. I wasn't in it, thank God. But I remember a story, and talking about this, and then we'll get back to what's going on in the world of golf, that I went and picked a friend of mine up at NAU University in Flagstaff, and I drove my yellow Camaro up there to pick him up. And we were going to drive to Salt Lake, where my dad was a golf pro back in the day, and parked the car one night. We watched football, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Got in the car the next morning to go to Salt Lake, and the thing wouldn't start. And it finally started, in this black smoke came out of the back of the car. I mean, it was just black smoke. And we got it started, okay, and off we went. And we had to get gas. But so what we did, we stopped at a convenience store one time. He ran and got food, paid the guy. Back in the day, he had to pay cash. He paid the guy the money. I kept the car running and put gas in the car. We were followed by his parents, or I was following his parents, driving to Salt Lake City. We're about, 80 miles away. I get pulled over by a cop because I'm tailgating. So the cop pulls me over. I got to keep the car running. I keep the car running. Doesn't write me a ticket. End up getting to my dad's driveway, parked the yellow Camaro. That was the last time the yellow Camaro ever ran, because it died that day. It should have died dead earlier. Done. Call it a day. Yeah. So I know what you're going through. I went through it, whether it was to Salt Lake City or from Midland, Odessa to Salt Lake City, but I've been through it. We haven't been on for a couple weeks. Golf going on. I want to start with you right now, before we get into the tournament action, stuff like that really nobody even watched this week because he was in Bermuda. Give me your thoughts on what Greg Norman's trying to do right now. Greg Norman he's now the president of this new golf association. This is something he's tried to do years ago. He tried to break up the PGA Tour, wasn't very successful. Now he's launching this new campaign program with the people from Saudi Arabia, who have more money than we do, Dahlby. Do you think there's a chance that Greg Norman and the Saudi Arabian people can break the PGA Tour up, or do you think it's just kind of I don't know how really to say it, like not really a senior tour group, but like a mid-senior tour event where guys that are in their 40s and late 30s or something like that will try to compete for the money that they're going to do? Or do you think that this is just going to get blown up and nothing's going to happen?
Yeah, well, the talk right now, Bernie, and I think, obviously the company getting Greg Norman to buy into this, and I think it's a smart play on their part. Greg Norman, as you said, probably in the 80s, he's the the top ranked player in the world. He wants to have a world golf tour, right? Not that he was trying to break up the PGA Tour, but he wanted to have a tournament series where the top, say, 50 players played worldwide for lots of money, and would still be, I think, members of their tour. I don't think that was ever the thing to try to break it up. I could be wrong, but it was to create a different tour. The commissioner of the PGA at the time was Dean Beeman. He was able to kind of squash that thing. But I think because of that idea, you actually did get the World Golf Championships. I think that's something that many people credit Greg Norman for helping get the World Golf Championship tournaments arranged. Right now, yes, there is sort of there's a lot of money that these Saudi Arabians have. They're talking about partnering with the Asian Tour, putting some of their money into the Asian Tour, which that would be obviously a great thing for the Asian Tour. And I think the thing there is that if they are affiliated with a tour, the Asian Tour, that okay, you could have guys be members of the PGA Tour and the Asian Tour, like a lot of the European Tour players are members of the European Tour and the PGA Tour. They can kind of, can kind of play both, and that's it. Originally, what I heard, and this is before the announcement last week or a week and a half ago, with Norman kind of heading this thing. The thing that I had heard was that there was going to be just sort of a separate tour with not just middle-aged players, not guys that weren't in their prime or were Champions Tour players. They, obviously, Mickelson's name has been sort of talked about with that, but they were going to have, these kind of like these 4 or 5 teams, and there'd be like team captains, and the other guys that are have been named are not middle-aged players. They're big time players. You go look at the world golf rankings, there's some of the top guys, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't know for fact that these are guys that have been talked about, but I did hear, and I think most people had heard, that Mickelson might have been one of the names kind of thrown around. But the PGA Tour obviously has, okay, well, if you go play that, now you're no longer a member of the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour, right, maybe with a lot of their pull. Now you can't play in certain tournaments. You can't maybe play in some of the majors. Now the majors are tricky. I mean, the Masters is not it's on the PGA Tour schedule, but it's run by the members of Augusta National. Technically, the USGA runs the U.S. Open. The R&A runs the British Open. The PGA of America runs the PGA Championship. So, do those bodies follow the PGA Tour and say, well, we're just not going to let so-and-so play in our major tournaments? I think it's something that I'm sure a lot of lawyers will be involved with. And obviously the PGA Tour wants to protect their assets, and their assets are their golfers. So, I think it'll be an interesting next few months to hear. Bernie, what do you think on that? I mean, that's my rant.
Well, I guess my question to you is, and you probably don't know the answer. I don't know. Is Greg Norman trying to break up the PGA Tour? Is he pissed? Does he not have enough money? I mean, I get that he's now the president of this so-called new league or tour or Asian, whatever you want to call it. Is it to the point where he's pissed at what happened 20, 25 years ago when he didn't get his way? And you're right. I'll give him credit for creating the World Golf Championship events, whether it's 4, 5, 6, whatever they have a year. I'll give him credit for that. I just don't understand why you would want to try to break this up. And I guess and I'm not a player, I'm an ex-caddy, so I don't know what goes through people's minds as far as players that play in the PGA Tour. But why would you want to leave home? Why would you want to leave when you're getting all this this money to play in the PGA Tour. And a lot of people don't know this, and I'll just tell you right now. You finish top 48 in a PGA Tour event, you're getting money. You're getting money invested into your retirement. If you finish top, same thing on the Champions Tour, you're getting a point. You're getting 2 points, and that's what it's called. It's called a point, and there's a dollar amount, and I don't know what it is nowadays, but you're getting a dollar amount towards the day that you can't play anymore, or you lose your card, or you decide you want to retire. So a lot of these guys on the PGA Tour that you don't see anymore, they're fine. I know for a fact that R.W. Eakes, a guy that we've talked about on the show, a guy that I caddied for, a guy that was never very successful on the PGA Tour, very successful on the Hogan Tour, won 4 times on the Champions Tour. I know he's set for life because of all his pension points and all the money he got. So I don't know why some of these guys would go and leave to go play the Asian Tour, Saudi Arabia, or whatever it might be. I just don't understand it because of what you're giving away. And if Jay Monahan, the head of the PGA Tour, says you're going to lose your card if you're going to do this, or he's going to, whatever. Like you said, lawyers are getting involved, and the ramifications of if these guys are asking to get a waiver. The PGA Tour has to give you a waiver for you to be able to go over and play in tournaments in Saudi Arabia if it's the same time as a PGA Tour event. Like Graham McDowell, he won 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was in Saudi Arabia. He's asking for a waiver to be able to go play. And the PGA Tour, as I've heard of today, said, no, you're not going to play. I just don't understand while you have everything so good in life, you think that the grass is greener on the other side. And I know it's a terrible phrase, but it just came in my head right now. I just don't understand why these guys want to do that. And I don't understand, and I guess I do understand that Greg Norman's pissed about what happened 20, 25 years ago, and he's trying to get back at everybody right now.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I mean, I think you're obviously that's your opinion on that with Norman. I don't know if that's really the thing. I think from what I've read, and it's his what he's talking about right now is that you could be dual members, okay? And that would be, I think, his hope is that you're dual members. But when you say, why would these guys go? Why would they think that the grass is greener on the other side? From what I've heard, the grass is much greener on the other side, greener in cash. And that's kind of the thing where there may be deals of 70 million for 5 years, where we're talking deals like basketball players get, guaranteed money. And for certain players, that might be very, very attractive. I mean, for maybe anybody, it might be very, very attractive. And so I think that's going to be the battle. And so.
Well, let me stop you for a second. When you talk about you're talking about like Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa. Are you talking about those guys? Are you talking about guys, down, in the hundreds in the world? I mean, what are you saying? Because I get it. If it's the guys, 135th, 200th in the world, but not the guys that are top 5. I mean, is that what you're trying to say? Is that the guaranteed money is for those top guys?
I from what I understand right now, and I don't know much. I just know rumors. There's like this league that you're talking about, and say there's four teams, and maybe they're 5-man teams or something. I don't know how many players they're actually talking about, but I think they're big contracts. I think they're very big on the top side. And I think the goal would be to get the best players in the world involved with this. I think Norman's hope would be that they could play those tournaments and then play, the 15 PGA tournaments that are required to keep your membership. But I think that's kind of the thing. And I think that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted 20 years ago. And I would say the one thing about Greg Norman was a great golfer. He was, world number 1. But I think we could say that if you looked at Greg Norman as a golfer in terms of history, in terms of being one of the greatest of all times, he was a failure. He did not win major championships. You know, he won a British. Did he win anything else? Did he? You know, he gave away.
He's got 2 majors, but he gave away a bunch of masters.
Yeah, and so he's got 2 majors, but this is a guy that we would have thought probably that should have, and you know that's one of those things, but probably should have had 10, especially being the world number 1, you know, for a long time. So I would say his playing career, in some respects, you know, won a lot of golf tournaments, played worldwide. But I think when you look at history, when you look at comparing yourself to the greatest of all time, I would say he was a failure. The one thing Greg Norman is not a failure at is making money. His industry, you know, his businesses, his brand, lots of money. He's very money motivated. And so this is probably, I mean, he's not doing this for free. You know, I'm sure that he's being paid very well to be a part of this.
It's okay. So okay. If Jay Monahan, the president of the PGA Tour, or commissioner, if he says to these guys, okay, you have option A and option B. Option A is to go play in Saudi Arabia, go play in Asia, but you're going to lose your PGA Tour card. Or option B, you stay here. Now, I don't know how this can ever... I don't know what kind of foot that Jay Monahan has, but I can't see it. Steve, I can't see it. I can't see, and I know Dustin Johnson has many ties over in Saudi Arabia and friends with these people. If he put his foot down, if Monahan put his foot down and said, you got option A, go play for him, play in that tour, or option B, you stay over here, I would be surprised. I'd really be surprised if those guys went over there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, and I think you're probably right. I'm not saying you're wrong in any respect. I'm just saying I think that's what they're trying to do. Now, you go back to what Jay Monahan can do. Well, this has been done before. Dean Beeman did it to Greg Norman, 20, 30 years ago. And, you know, there were lawsuits then. So maybe that is already precedent for what's going to happen now. We'll see. You know, maybe the laws have changed. Maybe lawyers are better. Maybe they're worse, you know, than they were back then. So we'll have to see. But it is it's an interesting development in the world of golf, because it could. And I think what you're saying, Bernie, is that this could change the whole landscape of how tournament golf goes in the next few years, depending on what the rulings are. And so, you know, again, my hope would be that, just like you, that there's no hurt of the talent that is the PGA Tour. Yeah, you know, and that would be the thing that I would worry about.
Does Troy Merritt switch leagues if he gets $5 million check written to him tomorrow?
I wouldn't think he would. I think he would continue to stay here. And there's, you know, like I say, there's guys like Greg Norman, who I think as a person is very money motivated. And I think that's fine. 100%. I think that's great. There are other people who are motivated by other things in life. I mean, money's important, you know, obviously money's important, but there's other things to life too that I think some people have in their thought process that might be a little bit different. So we'll have to see. You know, I wouldn't think that Troy, for example, I wouldn't see him, you know, jumping from the PGA Tour. I think he likes to be on the PGA Tour. I think he's happy being on the PGA Tour. And I think most of those guys are probably would hope that the PGA Tour would just stay like it is. But I think, you know, Bernie, it's a, you know, and you can look at it as could this be something that's really good and maybe helps the world of golf?
No, I can't.
Maybe it can.
No, I can't see it.
Well,
no, I can't see it.
Yeah, but I'm
that's
sure
just,
some
and
people.
and that's just my opinion, Steve. I just can't see it. I can't see.
Well,
I can't see breaking up what I consider the best golf tour in the world. And there's other golf tours, whether it's Europe, Asia, LP, whatever it might be. I just can't. I can't. I'm totally against this whole thing, and that's just my viewpoint, because I get to the point where if players that have so much money, whether it's, and I'm going to bring up Dustin Johnson again because he's one of the main figures in this deal, or even a Mickelson. How much money do you need? How much money do you need? And do you really want to be those two guys, or that guy that ended up breaking up the PGA Tour because of an excess 50, 60, 70 million dollars when you already have, $300 or $400 million? I mean, there's got to be a point. It's not like there's somebody begging on the street corner, with a sign that says, I need $3 to live, or $2 to live, or can you loan me $1? It's not like that. These guys have all the money already. So that's why I'm totally against this whole thing, and I hope it falls right in its face. But that's just me. But anyway.
And I do think I think the thing though, Bernie, it's and I could be totally off base. I would hope that these guys, and I think that they all are competitors. I think all the guys that play for for as a career, and maybe not all of them, but they're competitors. And I think the major championships are kind of the thing that could change this. If you can go play in this league and you're part of the Asian Tour, but you can play in the majors and you can still play in 11 more tournaments over here and be sort of like dual members, maybe that's a consideration as a player. If there's a situation where you're going over here to play and you're no longer allowed to play in the majors, the World Golf Championships, Ryder Cups, things like that, maybe that changes decisions. So we'll see. This is going to play out.
Well, the last thing I'll say, and I'm glad you made that point. The last thing I'm going to say is the fact the PGA Tour made these guys. Now they made up themselves on their talent and their ability to play golf, but the PGA Tour gave them an opportunity. They gave them an opportunity to be able to showcase their talent and make all this fucking money that they've made. And so that's the thing that really just drives me nuts. But anyway, let's move on. We're done chanting about that. Golf this week in Bermuda. I didn't really watch a lot of it. It wasn't really the greatest field I've ever saw in my entire life. A lot of issues happened. A lot of players didn't go. It was the smallest field they've had on the PGA Tour in, I don't know, some 5, 6, 7 years, because a lot of players, well, everybody had to be vaccinated to be able to go and play in Bermuda. And the weather was supposed to be shit, and it was for a couple of days. Even Charlie Belgian, who, the local resident here, got in the field, and he didn't go because he sent out a tweet, which was later deleted, that said, I didn't get the bump, which meant the vaccination shot, so he couldn't go. So Lucas Herbert, who won the tournament this week, and a lot of people have never heard of the guy. He's top 50 in the world, folks. He's a good player. He's won 2 times in the European Tour. He got his card this year through the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. He's a good player, and I know there wasn't a lot of big names. Patrick Reed was the biggest name, finished second. Tied with Danny Lee. Good, funny story about Danny Lee. I'm not a big fan of Danny Lee, but I will tell you a quick story about him. This was his last tournament under a medical exemption that he had, and he had to finish third this week, to a solo third, to keep his card, and he ended up finishing tied for second, which I'll give him kudos for that. Way to go. He did have the tournament probably in his hip pocket and had a little meltdown a little bit later, but kudos to him. And there's also, before we go any further, Jim Nose, or Nas, everybody calls his name different. He was on his final event this week too on a medical exemption. And they need to finish 67th to have conditional status on tour and to have full Korn Ferry Tour status for the upcoming 22 season. And this is pretty cool. He was 7 over par after 8 holes, Dahlby, on his first round. 7 over. Ended up shooting 76, shot 66 on the second round to make the cut. Started off the final round, looked like me playing in the Tuesday match, and was like 3 over after 4. End up righting the ship and end up finishing 59th. So this guy now has conditional status in the tour and yet full status in the Korn Ferry Tour. If he doesn't make the cut this week, he's out of a job.
Yeah, and that's and you have the two players and yeah, whether you like Danny Lee or not, he's a different guy. You see this happen though. You see these guys that when they have one tournament left to play, they rise to the occasion. They're just so good. It doesn't always happen, but you do see this sometimes, and that's cool for Nas to do that. And the thing, and you said you didn't watch much. They had 2 days in the tournament where the wind was blowing. Yesterday it was blowing. They were saying 40 miles an hour. It is a wind tunnel over there. And, for Patrick Reed, and I know you don't like Reed too much, but for him to shoot 65 yesterday in that breeze and to kind of jump up the leaderboard where not many guys were shooting. I think he was low by 2 yesterday. So, that was a heck of a thing. Now, the one thing about this tournament, you say, well, the field wasn't very strong, and I would agree with that. But you know what? Full points. The winner got 500 FedEx points, almost $1.2 million. So in some ways, it was a good tournament to go play if you're looking to get this sort of a jump start on the FedEx list. So I would say, Bermuda itself has been very, very strict with their COVID, their rules and regulations. So yeah, it was, I guess, certainly, hard for some of the players to think that they wanted to go over there. But in some ways, right, you take advantage of these fall tournaments and get that head start. And, I'm pulling up the FedEx rankings right now. A guy like Danny Lee, who, is looking at, very, very few starts. Yesterday, he gets 245 points. He's now tied 17th on the FedEx list. He's going to need more than 245 points. Last year, it was probably 400 points or so to keep your card to be in the 125. I think you probably this year or this season want to think 425 to be safe, but 245 is a good head start on that when you think of, we've got a lot of tournaments to go. So, I don't know. I mean, I think you want to play 4 or 5 of these fall events. And if you're if you're not that top 10 player in the world, you want to get your start. You want to get out there and play a little bit. We saw Nick Watney a couple weeks ago, and Nick's not played very good golf. He would runner-up finish. He's 12th on the FedEx list right now, which is where he was in his prime. So there's a lot of opportunity for guys to do something in the fall. And then this week they go to Mexico to play Mayakoba. Then there's Houston, and then there's Sea Island, and then that's the end of the end of the fall season before the break, and then we get to it. But if you can get a good start, it's a huge advantage to try to just free things up when you get to the West Coast or the Florida swing.
So my MGM betting app, so I was in Vegas last week, but I have an MGM betting app, gave me a free $25 this week. And also gave me a free $25 a couple weeks ago, which I'll give you credit for in a second. So I took that $25 free bet, and I bet it on Sean O'Hare to finish in the top 20.
Oh,
And he finished 22nd. Now,
22nd.
I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. What a final round he played, because, like you said, it was blowing 30 to 40 miles an hour. I mean, that was a great tournament for him. Now, going forward with Sean, that you teach him, are we looking? I mean, I know he's got full status on the Corn Ferry Tour. Is he the type of guy? And I know he didn't try to Monday today, or yesterday, or to whatever it is today. I'm so confused. But is he the kind of guy that will go? Is he the kind of guy that'll go to a Monday qualifier, or is he just going to wait and sit it out until he gets in an event?
I think right now Sean is, in his prime, he was ranked top 15 in the world. He's won 4 times.
Absolutely.
He was a rookie of the year. I think mentally it's tough for Sean to get very excited about a Monday qualifier. So I think he's still kind of working through that. I think he understands that maybe that's something that he might need to do a little bit, but he hasn't played in Monday qualifiers since he was on the buy.com tour. And so I think that's just something that he's going to have to maybe work through a little bit more mentally than physically. I think, though, his plan right now would be he's thinking about, like you said, he has, based on kind of a crappy year on the PGA Tour last year, he still has the ability to play on the Corn Ferry Tour if he wants. I think he's paying attention to kind of where he is on the FedEx list. 40, he's got 40 points right now. That's not a lot when we're talking about 4 and a quarter. But I think, hoping probably to get into maybe one more fall event, and then probably just kind of reevaluating where things are when he gets to the start of the year. And he's won 4 times, so you would think those tournaments that he's won before, maybe getting special exemption to. And then there are sort of, he's, whether he's in the past champions category or kind of that, whatever it is, the 200 to 250 category, maybe looking at maybe 5 or 6 more tournaments. So, there's maybe the opportunity to play 8 to 10 times on the PGA Tour. And I think his sights are probably more set on that than to kind of, I guess, drop down to the Corn Ferry. So we'll just have to see. I was happy that he played well yesterday, and he had a really nice back 9, and I think that's something to build off of.
So even having full status on the Corn Ferry Tour, you don't think he'll do that? Or, I mean, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's kind of like, and a friend of yours, Chad Campbell, I think when you have, like Chad, who played on Ryder Cups and did a lot of, great things, I think there is a time as a veteran that it's just hard to kind of get your mind set that, okay, I've got to go play Corn Ferry Tour for a year to get back, when there are other ways to get back. You see the guys that are on the non-member money list or something like that, they work their way onto it. So I think that's the hard thing. And I think it's a mental thing. And along that lines, we talked a lot a couple months ago about Taylor Montgomery, who was 25th on the Corn Ferry regular money list, 26th. Or whatever it was.
26th and 26th.
Well, but I'm saying 25th or 24th and then fall out. And then in the playoffs to be at 23rd and then fall out. I would think, and I've kind of heard right now that Taylor's, struggling with that. It's like you've been kicked in the gut twice. And so, the game's hard sometimes. The game is hard and it's cruel, and we all love it, but there's that challenge, and it's sometimes mental, where I think for a guy like Taylor, I'm sure that's got to be like, what the hell? I shot 43 on the last 9 holes of something. If I just would have shot 2 over, I have my tour card. I expected to be over here and I wasn't. I chose to play in the US Open and make the cut, but I don't get any damn points. So now I don't have my PGA Tour card this year. That's hard mentally. It's not the talent. It's not the physical stuff. It's where the game sometimes can be very hard on the mind, and I think that's going to be a tough one for Taylor. And I hope, because I like Taylor a lot. He's a good kid. I hope he can kind of get things in shape. And I think for someone like that, and you might disagree, Bernie, but I think this is the critical year. He's got to go back on that Korn Ferry. He's got to get this thing done and get on the PGA Tour, or maybe you're one of these guys that's just stuck on the Korn Ferry for 10 years. And I don't know that's, it's a life, but is it a good life? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you look at Scott Gutschewski. I mean, here's a perfect example. I mean, he was playing out on the Nationwide Tour, or whatever it used to be called. I always say that. That's my favorite line. Back when I was out there, and he got his card one year, and I'll never forget is somebody when he won a tournament, and the sponsor says, "Hey, congratulations. We'll probably never see you again." And his kid, which was the funniest thing in the world, says, "No, we're on the PGA Tour next year, but we'll be back in 2 years when we're back on this tour." Because that's how this thing is. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Montgomery 26th and 26th. Yeah, it's a gut check. You just got hit right in the nuts. But you didn't get hit in the nuts by somebody else. You did it by yourself. You're the one that did that. And you're right. I totally agree with you. This is the year. This is the year for Taylor Montgomery. If he doesn't get done this year, I think mentally he's going to be drained. And so I wish him the best of luck. I mean, it's such a hard game. I've watched through all the years. I've watched some of the greatest talent in the world. And whether people believe me or not, there wasn't a better ball striker that I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is me being me. R.W. Eakes could hit the ball as good as anybody you've ever seen in your entire life. But yet mentally, he was a fucking 3-year-old, and he couldn't get it done. And that's the thing that held him back. Now, after I left him on the Champions Tour, he won 4 times, so maybe it was me. But if you watch this guy hit balls in the range, you'd be like, wait, what? This guy hasn't, excuse me? And that's how small of a line there is. You can watch the best player at your club, and I don't care what club you're at. You can watch your club champion, 28 years old, 24 years old, 25 years old, and think he's the greatest thing in the world. And I will put him up against guys like R.W. Eakes, Neil Johnson, guys like that for any money you want to play for, and I'm going to get rich. That's how hard it is to make it to the level of where these guys are at now. You get to the PGA Tour, listen, you've made it. You've made it, dude. And I know next week, I'm not going to dive into it this week. Next week is the finals of Tour School, the KFT, and I'm going to ask you some serious questions next week. But right now, it's time for Who You Got?
Okay.
And look at this. The scoreboard over here. You see this right here? Look at this. Dahlby, Schubert.
Oh.
Look
there's
at
up,
this.
There's down. There's what's going on here?
Yeah, you're kind of middle of the road.
That makes sense.
Trending the wrong direction. Yeah, Schubert he's got a big lead. There he is. There's Schubert. All right. So the last time we were on the program, which was a couple weeks ago, and we're going to start getting better about this. We're getting more consistent. Schubert went first with Tommy Fleetwood, who finished 7th. Dahlby picked the kid from Chandler, Chad Kim, who I actually bet $50 on to finish in the top 20.
Oh, there you go.
And he finished 15th. And then my guy, Satoshi Kodahara, I think he's still picking up range balls at the course.
Oh, come on.
So, yeah, no, it's true. So there's the update right there. I don't need to give it to you all. You can tell it's bad for me. But going into this week, Schubert, once again, you have picked number 1. Congratulations. I don't know how you're doing it, dude. For the person that watches the least amount of golf among the 3 of us, you are just kicking our ass.
Listen, it's lonely at the top, and here at the top, we continue to make good picks. Now, we have passed the rule that I cannot use Tommy Fleetwood anymore, right? I cannot.
That's correct. You can only pick the same, and I'll have to get a new sign company to make the new updated version of it. But yes, you cannot pick the same person that you've picked in the previous 4 weeks.
I'm a little worried about us.
In the previous 4 weeks now.
No, it's
now
a whole year. No, we're going.
Again.
No.
You just said previous 4 weeks.
Oh, stop. Slow down, dude.
That we picked.
Yeah, we've only done 4 shows. I mean, you've missed the last 2, so.
Okay.
You can't pick anybody you've previously picked, and I'll have a chart and I'll email it to you guys each and every week, so we don't have to go through this.
Okay, so
because
outside of Tommy Fleetwood, I forget who I picked. So if I double up this week, I apologize.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Second thing is I'd like to offer up a rule suggestion for the Who You Got group here. Okay.
It's sponsored by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint, by the way, and they tailgated for the Crafty Devils this week and did a fantastic job, from what I heard. So,
if the player you pick wins the tournament outright, you get to keep them. They're back available to you as a pick. If they win the tournament outright, so you pick them, they win the tournament outright, your bonus for picking the tournament winner correctly is they are then available to you again.
One more time.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
So you just have them again, and if the week you pick them again, they win again. You just continue.
Well, you don't get them for the entire year, but yeah, okay, all right, that's good.
Okay,
all right.
So with
fire a winner then.
Tony Finau, baby. That's it. We're done here. Tony
Finau, baby. You said baby.
Right. That's right. Tony Finau, baby.
That's it.
Wow. All right, you got Tony Finau. Dahlby, you're up next. Since my guys suck. Look at this. I mean, this is embarrassing. I mean, I know more about the. I mean, Dahlby's out there all the time. Schubert, you live in a studio, and I watch more golf than anybody. And yet, look at me. This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Dahlby's doing the patented Dahlby search through the
looking.
Weekend.
Joaquin Neiman. Joaquin Neiman.
Really?
Yeah.
That was my second choice.
I'm kind of
Troy Merritt is playing this week. You know that, right?
Yeah. He flew to Mexico today.
No, Dahlby picked Troy. I think like the first or second week.
I can't pick him anymore because now I'm out.
We made a big deal of it that he never picks Troy.
Now wait, since I picked him the 1 week he didn't play, can I still pick him?
No, you don't have it available to you. No, sorry.
You're out.
All right, you got Joaquin Neiman. All right, that was my second choice actually. I'm going with Carlos Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz is my pick. Okay. Yeah, he's from Mexico, so that is my pick for this week. But I like the new rules. Before this show gets to like show 87, there's going to be so many goddamn rules that nobody's going to know what. Nobody's even going to know.
There's going to be a Who You Got Constitution written up.
Yeah, but the scoreboard will be updated each and every week. All right, Dahlby, congratulations on second place for Saguaro. Next year, team better?
We're going to try to make it better.
Will you have a better activity van next year?
I hope so. We're not going to use old 510 anymore.
Is 510 retired again?
It was supposed to be the best one. It was bad. Lights flashing. It was not good.
What if you didn't have 510? What would have happened?
Well, the other ones don't have air conditioning. This was the one that the air actually works.
Did it work?
Well, the air worked, yeah. Nothing else did, but the air worked. We didn't really need it, though. It was nice out.
And you came out on a Thursday, and I said, at least you can listen to the football game. And you said...
It was too loud. Yeah, it was too damn loud. It was loud in there.
All right. Well, Tuesday match is tomorrow. Adam Blanker can't play. He's going to LA. Well, he could have played, but the Canadians didn't want to play too early, so we're going to play a little bit later. We're playing a week apart.
Where are you playing? Week apart.
Yeah. And my game is Dahlby. Seriously, my game is complete. It's awful. It's really, really bad. And I got so many, by the time, and I have a short backswing. By the time I take it to here, there's 6 swing thoughts in my head before I even hit it. And I'm praying I even make contact. So I hopefully that you're here for a while, that we can maybe work on this to maybe improve my game just a little bit. I have the chipping yips. I have everything you can imagine that a player doesn't want to think about, I have right now.
We've got the Champions Tour event coming up at Phoenix Country Club, not this week, but the week after. So next week we have the Champions Tour event, and then we can get to work. A lot of our members at Phoenix Country Club are wondering why all the carts don't have the tops on them right now. And so,
Right.
because the tour wants the roofs off for, if you need to go under ropes and stuff. So
Oh,
they
makes
do
sense.
yeah. And it was, it's nice out right now. It's kind of, it's fine to not have the roofs on, but it is kind of, why are they taking the roofs off? Well, it's what you've never seen a rules official running around with a cart with a roof, if you think about that, in all your days of caddying.
No, I haven't. Hey, when you drive a cart, do you keep your left foot outside of the cart, or do you keep your left foot inside the cart?
There's when I was at Troon North, I was there for a long time. One of the GMs, and he was a great guy, Jack Elliott. Jack was over at Troon Country Club, and then he came over to Troon North as the director of golf and the GM, and then we actually worked in the corporate office for a little bit. He always got on all of us about keeping our feet in the cart. Because it's true, you could have your foot out there and you catch it or something, and something could happen. So I will once in a while catch myself having my foot out of the cart, but I remember Jack Elliott telling me to get my feet in the cart to make sure that I was protected. And that was something I always remembered from Jack Elliott.
All right. Thanks to Sean Crespin, who once again I still haven't talked to. Thanks to Schubert. Great job, buddy boy. Dahlby, have a great week. We'll speak to you next week, pal.
Play well tomorrow. Hit them straight, everybody.